everyone, and welcome to another fantastical steampunk city of Steamtopia. So we're here again with my good friend Andy and my brother Richard. So hello everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Excellent. So whilst I'm just going to put some links out and about our podcast and that. Do you two want to explain what we're discussing about today?
Yeah, sure.
Excellent.
So today we're talking about communications in a steampunk city. So this could be both communications within the city itself, so between, say, different organisations, different businesses, or could also be communications between the city and other cities, or cities and, say, the outlying villages and farms and everything else that goes into supporting that city. So some of the methods that we talk about will be suitable for, like, within the city itself. Some of them will be more suited to sort of a long distance method.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Yeah, so we're gonna go on about all sorts of things. So not just like telecommunications, for example. We're gonna go on about like literally the weird and the wonderful as well. Does anybody want to start?
Well, I'm quite interested by what was in place before the Victorian era and the methods of communication. So long distance communication was really limited to. It's not not open to the general public like it is today. I'm particularly intrigued by the semaphore system that they had. So the Navy in the 1700s found the need to communicate rapidly between Portsmouth and London. So they set up a series of semaphore towers, which is very similar to anyone seen going postal. They have the system on there, the clacks, where you have basically these series of lights, and they're obscured by different panels, and they all make out different shapes. And then further on down the line, someone will be looking at them, and then basically repeating that through their own set of lights, and then someone's doing the same again and again and again. Similar sort of thing, just without the lights, just with paddles. And apparently you could send a message from Portsmouth to London in less than 8 minutes, which I think, bearing in mind this is in the 1700s, before the Victorian era, I think is quite impressive.
Yeah, I mean, obviously going back even earlier, you had things like you had lines of like communication beacons, but they were really just for one purpose, which was to signal that the enemy had arrived at a particular location.
Yeah.
But there was sort of even predating. I mean, just what you said on the clacks, the interesting thing about that is there was almost that suggestion there that there was possibly a thought of automating the system so that the towers could read the patterns on the adjacent towers, so you didn't need human operators. And I think that's quite interesting if you took it that stage further. So if you took it, you've kept the same method going into the Victorian era, but automated it more.
There we go. Okay, that's an interesting idea. So.
Well, that's what they did. Now let's talk about how would we do it in our world?
Well, we have got other things to talk about in terms of what they actually did. Because, to be fair, they did arrive at pretty much the right solution, essentially, really quite quickly. With, first of all, the telegraph, and then moving on from that, well, the wired telegraph, and then moving on from that, obviously the Marconi radio telegraph. And I've just got a little demo here to show people. I'm going to have to turn this background off. But I'm just going to give you a quick demo of what I have here.
It looks like you've mastered teleportation, sir.
Yes. So I've teleported from the Museum of Victorian Science back to my house. So if I hold that steady, so this is a Morse key, and this is a Morse sounder. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I think this one is definitely military spec. I think it might be First World War era, but I'm not 100%. The key, I don't really know a great deal of history on it. I will be putting up a bit more of a demo video of these afterwards. Now, I just have here a couple of meters of sort of 2-core cable and an old model railway controller to power it. And obviously, in reality, you'd have several miles of cable, and you need both a sounder and a key at each operator, but essentially you press the key and the sounder responds. So if I just sort of manual zoom in on that.
Oh, excellent. And just going a bit off subject a little bit, that's a Gauge Master controller, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yes.
Yeah, I used to have one like that when I was a kid.
Yeah, well, basically I'm using the controller because it's basically the most portable variable voltage power supply that I own.
Oh, right.
Because with these things being quite old, I don't want to fry them by running too high a voltage through them.
That seems fair.
Well, that's understandable.
And I can't find any spec sheets for either of them actually telling me what voltage they should be run off.
So what sort of age are they? How old are they?
Well, as I say, I do want to talk about this a bit more in a separate video. I don't know a lot about them, and it is very hard to find any info on them. The sounder is definitely ex-army because it came from an army salvage place in Leeds.
All right.
And I believe it's probably First World War, but it could even be older. I'm not sure. It's not Second World War because Second World War they tended to base them onto Bakelite rather than timber. The key...
Yes, actually, have I got it here? Now, I was looking at it the other day. I don't
you
know.
got one of the Second World War era keys from Burkitt's?
I may have, but it wasn't from Burkitt's. Yeah, we randomly found it. It was back when we was living where we were before, and we randomly found it lying down at the side of a footpath.
Right. You stumbled across some sort of nefarious activity with people sending secret messages then.
Yeah, a little bit.
Stole their Morse key.
No, I like to think of it as a magpie was like, well, I'll have that away, and then just gave up halfway through.
I tell you, if you carry on talking, I'll just find it. One moment.
Yeah, well, just to continue, the key, I know even less about. I bought it from a junk shop in York. I suspect, and I do talk about this a bit in the video, I will talk about this a bit more in the video I'm going to put up, that this is actually a repro for either a film or stage prop. And that's basically because the sounder, all the brass bars and everything on it are all like nicely machined into shape. Whereas the key, all of the shaped bars are literally just bent into shape from brass bar stock.
Alright.
So I suspect that it's a repro for something like either a film or a TV prop.
Alright. Unfortunately, I can't find it, but basically, any of you that are watching, if you type in a bathtub Morse code tapper, that will show you the example of a World War II one. It's Bakelite, black, and it looks, the underneath of it looks like a bathtub. So they're quite sturdy as well. And Richard, when like lockdown is over and that, you can have it.
Thanks.
But yeah, so that's an interesting. So basically, what you're saying is like you could have a tapper on one side, and then if someone has the same setup the other side, they can hear exactly what you're sending, and then through a code deciphering system called Morse code, they can basically write out the message you're trying to say.
Yeah, and then in between, it could either go via just a long cable, as the old telegraph systems used to work, or it could go wirelessly, as sort of your Marconi radio towers used to work to communicate. Initially, I think it was mainly just done for communication ship to shore, but it later obviously developed into everything we have today. Now, there were also a number of attempts, some more successful than others, to actually get, like, plain English, plain text out of a telegraph system.
All right.
So there were a few that... I mean, this picture behind me is the Museum of Victorian Science in Glaisdale, near Whitby. I would really recommend anybody who has an interest in sort of old scientific apparatus, old radio equipment, crazy high voltage stuff, to take a trip there. You have to book it in advance. The guy sort of demonstrates these things for you. But just up on this shelf up here, you can see there are a number of, these are railway telegraphs. So they had a single pointer sat like this, and it could be pulled in one direction by applying a current to it. So in the case of the railways, that was to pull it in one direction where it said it would sit at line blocked, and then it would pull to line clear, so that the signalman would know they could dispatch a train. Now, that developed into a system with multiple ones of these pointers where you'd follow them up a route to all 26 alphabetical characters. So, by aligning a number of these pointers remotely, you could spell out a message. Now, that was never very successful because it was far faster to have somebody who was good at Morse code at each end to just decipher Morse code. But there were other plain text systems that developed off the back of this, because they're the ones that people might be aware of are things like the ticker tape, the classic telegraph ticker tape.
Oh, yes.
So if you see photographs and video even of the celebrations, especially in the US, in New York at the end of the Second World War, you can see all these streamers coming out of windows. And what that was people throwing rolls of this. It was like a thin roll of paper, which was the rolls off ticker tape machines, and throwing them out the window to generate all these streamers. But essentially what this system had was it's pulled tape through and then printed lettering onto it. And then if you ever actually see a telegram, so that would come into the post office, and then somebody would deliver the telegram to your house. And that was basically would be these strips of paper glued onto a card. And then that would be taken by a postman to your house. Now, obviously, big corporations like a lot of banks actually had their own in-house ticker tape machines. The other one where it comes up is where it's actually explained quite well. If you've ever seen the film The Sting,
No.
I haven't, no.
It's a really good film. It's a classic film about con artists, and they are basically doing gambling fraud by wire.
Oh, right.
It's set up like a fake betting shop with these ticker tape machines, and basically they delay the feed out to the shop so that they can read off who's going to win, place the bets after it's actually come through, but before the ticker tape actually comes out in the shop.
Oh, I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Actually, that sounds like an interesting film.
But yeah, so that was a successful method. But I think it's probably now time to leave the realms of reality behind.
Yeah, because telegraph has its own limitations in that you can just send text, and obviously the fact that you've got to put the infrastructure in place, etc., etc. So let's see what we can do to spice things up a little bit.
Right. Well, may I give a demonstration, if that is okay?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So, Richard, do you have your phone near you?
I do.
Excellent. Would you mind giving me a call?
Sure.
This is when the call goes through and we find we just have awful feedback on this video.
Or we find
More than likely.
Zero, 7, 7, 1.
Hello. Are you okay there?
I'm good.
Good. Yes. So this is my Steampunk communication device. Can you confirm that you can actually hear me through there? Maybe put it on loudspeaker so that we can see.
Hang on a second. Yellow?
Hello. There we go. Excellent. So it is coming through. Yeah, I do get a little bit of feedback from this because obviously we're using this whilst we're filming.
Yeah, I'll hang that call
Yeah,
up.
there we go. There you go. So this is my Steampunk communication device. So it is essentially a Steampunk mobile phone. The real world mechanics in it, it's got a Bluetooth speaker in it. So it can also... If I turn it down a bit...
So is there a microphone in there as well?
There is a microphone in there as well.
Wow, that's impressive.
So another good thing about it is it can also plays music. There you go. So a quick little obviously I don't want to get copyright striked or anything like that. And also it still has the shutter working, so that is the imaginary on off mechanism. So that is...
I like that. I really do.
This was made like the first week of lockdown, I think it was. So this was something that I've had the idea. Obviously, I had a destroyed box Browning, and I used the frame for it for another project, and I kept this, and I had this idea last year, and I was like, I really want to make this, and kept on putting it off, and then obviously with being in lockdown, I thought, right, what can I do now to keep myself busy? And that's what I've done. So,
can you send me a link to where you got that Bluetooth device from? Because I've been struggling to find anything suitable for what I want to do.
Yeah, if I can find a link to that specific one, that one I've been struggling to find it because it was so small. But if I can find the link to it again, I'll send it across.
Because I kind of gone down a similar route, but mine doesn't work yet.
I think you might need to turn the
background off.
teleport out there again. The teleporter's playing up, mate.
And now you're properly gone.
Oh.
It's all right. I'll be back in a moment.
Okay.
There we go. It's just the teleportation. It means that
Yeah, I can imagine it plays up with the...
Yes.
Yeah, I can most probably find you something that will...
So this is designed to be belt mounted, so it's got like a clip on the back. And then, of course, it is the classic rotary dial phone with handset, except that the handset currently doesn't have any speakers in it. This is currently just a prop, but if I... Basically, because me wanting to overcomplicate things, started looking up online and found that it is actually theoretically possible to interface one of these rotary dials with a mobile phone. The problem is, I looked this up, and the circuit diagram involves most of the components that I don't even know what they are, let alone know how to actually connect them up. And it was designed for a US rotary dial, which appears to have 2 wires coming out the bottom. This one has 4 wires coming out the bottom, and I don't know what the difference is. So,
another idea: get a normal like Bluetooth speaker, take apart an actual like headset, like an actual phone, wire up the speakers out of that phone into there. That should work.
yeah, it should work. Yeah. It's just I just need something as the actual Bluetooth transmitter receiver.
Well, I can easily find you a link to one of those.
You have now given me another idea for a non-steampunk project that I can look at, which is down in the garage. I have a phone, Crowley's phone off Good Omens, the trim phone, down in the garage. That currently doesn't. Well, I say it doesn't work. I don't actually know if it works or not, because I don't have a BT line in this house. But I basically had it as a prop at Halloween. Got it from a charity shop. But I might put Bluetooth into that actually.
That'd be cool.
Because that would be quite good to be able to. The interesting thing is if I could do that, there's no reason I couldn't also connect up the other thing that I got for the Halloween prop, which is the old double cassette answer machine.
I haven't seen anything of one of those for years.
Yeah, well, this was the kind of. So, I had a party last Halloween, and it wasn't that long after Good Omens had come out. So I dressed as Crowley. I am planning to do a proper steampunk version of Crowley at some point. But I had sat on that table behind me. I got Crowley's. I managed to find this trim phone in a charity shop, so I had that sat on the table, and then was like, well, the other thing I need for Crowley's setup is I need the cassette answer machine. Now you look on eBay, none of them. Can't find them. None on there. Well, it wasn't when I looked anyway. But I did manage to get one eventually, and I believe it still works. Again, I don't have a BT line, so I can't test it.
Oh, fair enough.
But if I can Bluetooth to the phone, I don't see any reason that I can't Bluetooth to the cassette answer machine as well.
That's cool. But the only thing is, I think we've got a bit off subject again.
Yes, we have probably got off subject now. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my idea. So basically, this would be running off of radio waves, very small, very sleek. Could fit in your hand. Could easily fit onto a pouch, or in a handbag. You know, or a purse for a lady. So it is very small, very, movable, which is what we want. So this is good for, like, if you're out exploring, say, you've gone out of the fantastical city of Steamtopia. This is good for on the airships, because obviously a very small system, you're out there, and it's like, hello, how you doing? So that's that idea. I did have a couple of other ideas, if you don't mind me sharing them, and then we can move on to someone else if you want. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Excellent. So the first idea, I had an idea for a carrier pigeon. Now, so my idea is basically we could have an army of the mechanical owl from Clash of the Titans, the 1960s film. I forget the owl's name. I'm sure that if someone's watching, they will come put it in the comments. But basically, they have this wonderful, like, brass owl that's all mechanical in this Clash of the Titans film. absolutely wonderful, very steampunk, and basically you could use that. You could also have like, so basically that could be like office communication. So if you wanted to get a message to another building quickly, you could have a button, one of these mechanical birds turns up. You either speak the message to it, or you can write a message, and it would have a compartment where it would automatically roll it up onto the leg, goes to the office that you want to deliver the message to. So that is, because let's face it, when you see like these cities that they designed, where they were going to be like the cities of the future, they didn't have like one communication method. It wasn't just like, this is the only way we communicate. I mean, like, you look at today, I mean, like, mobile phones aren't the only way we communicate. We have email, we have text message, we have video call, like what we're doing now. So there's so many different ways. And the other idea I had was basically, now this one is a gimmick. It is a gimmick, and it's only going to be used for a gimmick, which is essentially automaton candygrams. So you would have essentially ports in the street where you would have an automaton there, and you go up to it, say your message. You could also ask it to, so say that you are telling your girlfriend or boyfriend that you love her, love him. You could then say, take this message to this person at this address. On the way, please drop by this shop and buy flowers or buy candy. And then it can go off, give the message, and that's it. It's just like, it's basically a gimmick, but it would look cool.
So courier automaton.
Yeah. I think it would catch on.
Would you end up using these a bit like Deliveroo and sending them out to get food for?
Yeah, it doesn't seem that there's much limitation about what you can actually use them for. It's not really. I think it's going to be a bits and bobs sort of thing. You could use it for anything. Food,
Well,
yeah. Take them over like a pasty or a pie or something.
Well, yeah. I mean, like the limitations are endless. I mean, let's face it. It's just like it's just.
I tell you what, if an automaton knocked at the door and was delivering me like a Cornish pasty, that would be a true symbol of love, and that would really make my day. Diane, take notes. Hint, hint. Just have a Sunday roast.
You're expecting your fiancée to like make an automaton and just to deliver you a Cornish pasty.
Well, I'll be happy with just the Cornish pasty, to be honest with you, but I'm not allowed them.
Yeah, you are putting on a bit of weight, I
I assure you.
But yeah, so they're my 3 ideas that I've come up with. So obviously, one of them very, practical, very useful. The other one, a little more practical, but that's a bit more. That one's like the owl is more flash than anything. It's basically the companies telling us, like, look at all this money that we can basically, that we can spend on this essentially useless product.
I can actually see a practical application for that. I think it would work very well for things like when you've got companies that want to, say, send legal documents to each other that need signatures.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
To avoid having to send them through the post.
Yeah, and they get there a lot quicker.
Yeah, I suppose as well, if you're dishing out like court summons and things like that, if it's a robot, if someone's not too happy with the message they've received, they punch it, all that's going to happen is they'll break the hands. They're not going to do any damage to the courier, so there's that added bonus as well.
Yeah.
Someone has to be the bearer of bad news, unfortunately.
So why not have it a robot that has no feelings?
Yep, exactly.
So yeah, so like I said, they're my 3 ideas. Who else has got an idea?
Well, I've got one. I've got a couple of ideas that have been bouncing around in my head.
I swear to God, if this is like the trebuchet,
No, no, no. Well, no, it's not like that.
Would have a better application as a communication delivery system than a transport system.
Well,
Package delivery could work.
yeah, where's the fun in that? No, I'm thinking.
Can you imagine Can you imagine candygram on a trebuchet?
I've been thinking of. I've got 2 ideas in my head. It's first of all, I'd like to figure out a way. Really, it was more of a like an idea. First one is more of a it's a vague idea. It's take the good old fashioned 2 cuts with a bit of string in between and ramp them up into some sort of communication system which is actually usable. I like the idea of having. I mean, because so radio waves, how do they work? They work by modulating a data signal, your whatever it is you're transmitting, onto a much more powerful carrier frequency. So can we do something like that with just oscillation of a cable or something?
You can look up compressed air amplifiers.
Compressed air amplifiers. Add that to the. We can add that to the
Yeah, I'll add that to the list. It's basically before you had electrical amplifiers, how they used to do sound, mainly for things like theatres and cinemas, was they would use, obviously, like the big gramophone halls.
Mm.
But there's only so far you can go with amplifying it from just an expanding horn from it on a record. So they basically put that system to a diaphragm type valve with a high pressure compressed air system to then a number of enormous sort of gramophone horns. So it would amplify it by controlling the flow of compressed air.
That could do the trick. It's more of a
Yeah,
vague idea. I didn't realise you could actually make it happen.
They actually still use them, not for that. They use them for, I think NASA, I think it might be NASA, use them for testing. They use them for component testing at frequencies that you can't generate with standard loudspeakers.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Oh right, that's interesting.
They use them for like noise testing, space and aviation components.
Actually, that's a good. Going a little bit off on a tangent here, going on about like old Victorian technology that's still in use today. Right, so you know, like in your Frankenstein films, you had like the brass switch, which they would like launch up with that, they would cause sparks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Still in use today, just a little bit different. So your massive like, essentially your switches to turn on your power for basically your whole building. You might have seen with the grey box with like black handle. You turn it up, there's a loud bang, and then all the lights come on. Inside there, switch still looks near enough exactly the same as the Frankenstein switches.
Which is why currently down in the garage I have a very, very cheap, probably not British standard, Chinese-made generator changeover switch that I plan to dismantle. Because it is inside, it's just a plastic housing with an enormous 4-blade knife switch inside it.
Yeah.
And how's the guess? You're not going to put anything too high voltage for it.
No. No. There are people who make. There's a 3D print actually. Unfortunately, it's designed for a US light switch.
I know which one you're on about.
Basically, just like a lever that screws onto the 2 screws of a light switch, and it basically gives you that effect on a light switch.
It'd be easy enough. I actually had the idea a few years ago. You could easily
make one because I want one on the workshop lights.
You could easily make one, modify like basically have a roller with 2 springs on the actual lever. So when it rolls over, it puts enough pressure to launch a switch.
Yeah. And And then all you need is like a big wooden handle, like an old file handle or something on the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could whistle away something if you got a lathe, I suppose.
Yeah.
I suppose the only problem is, it's going to be, whenever they use one of those, it's like a massive bang, whenever it turns on. And this one, it's going to be like, click.
What you need is, those things you used to get that you could throw at the ground and they went bang.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, put a couple of those on the contacts. So when it goes up, it bangs.
Or you got one of those, the little cap guns.
Yes. Yeah, cap gun cap would work.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good way to crack your housing and also to start an electrical fire.
No, because you've got this thing's far bigger than the actual light switch, so this is well away from the actual electrics.
So that was my first idea.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Back on topic again.
Second idea that I'm thinking of is and this is a little bit harder to achieve, is the biggest problem with communication is the distance. It's the whole point is you're trying to communicate for long distance communication. So say if you've got a company and trying to speak to you want to send a message to your counterpart in another country. Okay, that's the distance is the problem. Hence why we have this discussion how to do to communicate across that distance. My next idea is how about you create either a wormhole or a black hole or something like that, and basically fold space time together, and then just throw the message through it like a paper aeroplane, something like that.
Sounds like a good way to die.
Don't put your hands anywhere near it. Just literally.
Depends what you're using. I mean, if you've got the sufficiently advanced technology to have a portal gun.
I'm thinking something along them lines.
Otherwise.
Yeah, I just like the idea of just like typing away on the typewriter. Okay, time to send this. Push a button. Black hole appears. Lob your message through. Seal up and then close it down and then carry on typing.
For that to work, you basically need a hanger.
No, for it to work, you need the Large Hadron Collider. That's what you need, which obviously is not really available to us.
To hold the black hole in, and basically the black hole would have to be like the size of like a person. And then you'd have all that space around, so basically it couldn't come into contact with anything. Because if you had it in like a normal-sized room, and then suddenly it fluctuated, it'd start dragging the room in with it, wouldn't it? Wow. So it could cause serious problems. You would basically need a warehouse or a hangar, so that it was nowhere near the walls for if it came unstable.
Well, that could be the Mark One, but you work on the things, you refine them, you fettle them. I would get it to the point so you have a desktop mounted, either like wormhole generation machine of some sort, so that you can just literally almost like perhaps I've been watching a bit too much Rick and Morty, like Rick's portal gun.
Okay, so we're on to teleportation now. Okay, fair enough.
Of messages, not of people.
What I can see here is what do you do if you're going down the Rick and Morty route? What do you do when your message never gets there because it's arrived in some other dimension?
Well, that's kind of like sending a letter in the post today, surely, isn't it? There's always that risk. You just send another one. That's the game we play. Sometimes you just got to roll those dice.
Alright, so you're saying that it might end up in another dimension. What security measures are in place to make sure nothing comes out from these other dimensions?
Big stick.
Big stick.
Big stick. Big. We're talking like a pool cue size stick, but like a table leg, something like that. So if anything did come out this alternate dimension, it's getting that wrapped around his.
You're going to be the one manning it if this happens.
Say again.
You're going to be the one manning it if this happens.
Well.
So basically, what you're telling me is that the companies that have these, they have like a mail room.
Yep.
That is the size of a small hangar to contain it in case the black hole fluctuates too much. They have guys there with like cricket bats with nails in, waiting for anything to come out from the alternate dimension. and half the time your message won't get there anyway because like some crazy six-legged alien thing will eat.
Well, there's got to be a bit of accuracy with this thing for it to work. You need to have there needs to be a better and even odds that you know where that it's going to get there. I mean, always there's a risk that something can go wrong, but
it's early days, isn't it? It's early days of the technology.
Advancement to this. Does this also allow you potentially, through the use of alternate dimensions, to actually send a message so it arrives before you send it?
I'm going to go with no, because that seems like a lot of hassle. That could cause a...
Right, okay.
I'm literally just thinking, just fold up space-time, message, close it, job done.
Oh, so it closes each time?
Yeah, it's not open all the time.
Right, okay, well, I mean, obviously that lessens the risk of things coming through from the other side.
Think more Stargate.
Right, okay, yeah.
But somehow desktop mounted. So you have someone typing away there, but behind them is a bloke with, like, say, the cricket bat with nails sticking through them, and they're just looking at it. It's like, right, you ready? You ready? Fire it up.
You just like have a howitzer at the end of the warehouse.
What? Look, that seems. Put the message in that.
If you've got Cthulhu coming through
crank
that,
it up. Send it.
if you've got Cthulhu coming through that bloody portal, you know, you want something there that's going to be able to sort it out.
Cthulhu's coming through.
Out of curiosity, are we talking about the howitzer to stop the things coming out, or do you just load the message into a howitzer shell and fire it?
Honest to God,
quite frankly, that's a good idea because that's going to stop anything coming through anyway.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got like howitzer shells with letters in them coming through that portal into different planets, no one's going to go near that. That'll become a no man's zone in that different world.
I think I just like the idea of it's just like you receive a letter that you don't like. You're like, right, time for me to send a response. Where's the howitzer? It's like, to whom it may concern. Off you.
My previous message.
Yeah. That's it for me.
That's it for you. Andy, have you got any more?
Yes. Well, I mean, obviously I've already shown the one with a very similar idea to yours that we've arrived at sort of convergently at the same sort of thing. But what I want to talk about is this is a message system for within a city. Mainly it would be business to business. And now, I don't know how many people are aware of the system they use in shops to send the money from the tills up to the office. So
I am.
It is a pneumatic or vacuum system with tubes where you have a pod that you load a message into. A little bit like the ones they have in Umbrella Academy, whoever's seen Umbrella Academy. That does go into the bending space-time bit, which I'm not going into.
Or in the film The Shadow.
Never
Yeah.
seen that.
Yeah, it's a brilliant old film. It's got Alec Baldwin in it. It's actually a comic book series as well, which is really interesting.
I might have to look that one up. But yeah, so they basically you have a cylinder that's got sort of seals around it, so it's a tight fit in the tube. You load your message, or if it's a bigger tube, you could even load sort of small packages into it. You load it in, close the hatch, and fire it down to wherever it is you're sending it to. So that could be, as I say, it could be to another company, or you could operate a bit like the telegram system did, where that's sent to the post office, and then a postman then goes and delivers it to whoever's house.
That might sort of be that would. Because let's face it, if you had like a pneumatic system going to every single household, that'd get expensive. If you basically quartered the amount of places they're going to by having them only going to post offices, that's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, but I think the option of having it going to private individuals' homes is a good idea because it'd be a sign of status. It's like if you're particularly wealthy, it's just like so you'd proudly display it somewhere like that anyone would see it. So when any visitor comes over, be like, "Ooh, what's that?" It's like, you don't know what this is. Oh, this is my my message system. Yeah, not many people have these.
Yeah, I can see that happening. It's like the mechanical bird from earlier. Yeah. It's just
well,
like
it's also
status symbol.
Real life example is what they did with telephones, sort of in like the sort of 1920s and 30s. They'd have them like there in the front hallway to show that we can afford to have our own telephone line.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was getting at. In fact, they had a conversation earlier on. We was watching Sewing Bean, this week's episode of Great British Sewing Bean. There was a comment made in it about nose cone art during the Second World War, and they say there'll be a lass on there with a telephone, and Diane said, "Why would be holding a telephone why would you want that? It's like doesn't seem that glamorous." It's like, but if you think about it, back in them days, exactly what you said, it's a sign of status. So if they've got a phone in their hands, like, oh, they're upper class. It's like wearing a knighthood.
Yeah. So going on to about the post office, how would they get about? So like your postal workers and that. Because I actually have something that I must admit I haven't got this out in years, so I don't know how good a condition it's in. Let's have a look.
Oh.
Yeah, it's in good condition. So, a small rocket pack. Sorry, a small jetpack. Very. So this is very easy to wear. Very compact, and that can travel about that way.
Yeah, it's Royal Mail red already.
Exactly. Look, it's already. Looks like something out of Wallace and Gromit, doesn't it?
I kind of like the idea if you've got different posties, they've got different sized jetpacks depending on the class of the letter that's going through. So second class, little jetpack, yeah. If it's first class, massive thing.
Well, you'd also need sort of big, sort of heavy jetpacks for the parcel carriers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or would you have like a sort of or would you have the parcel carrier have a jetpack for propulsion? And then you have like a little sort of hydrogen balloon attached to each parcel just to keep the parcel airborne.
Hydrogen balloon if it's a cheap method of travel for parcels. However, if they've paid that little bit extra to get the parcel like special delivery they attach little wings on either side, so when they're jetting behind, it's like generating lift behind, like on a tether behind them.
Could we not use hydrogen? Because I'm thinking jetpack, flames.
Good point.
Balloons. That's gonna end badly.
So the cheap parcels use hydrogen, but the more expensive ones use helium.
Yeah, I suppose we could do that. God, you wouldn't want to go on the cheap route, would you?
No.
What are you doing today? Second class? No, I'm not.
Incidentally, there's a so completely off topic now. But if you're talking about airships, there's a podcast on the Rooster Teeth website. It's called Black Box Downs. They're talking about aircraft disasters, and this week's episode was about the USS Akron. I think I pronounced that right. It was a airship that crashed down over the Atlantic. I think it was over the Atlantic. I can't remember exactly when, but yeah, it's really fascinating stuff. So heavily recommend checking that out. I think it's available on YouTube and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's really fascinating talking about airships.
Look at.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I got. Oh, that's what it is. Sorry, I just heard a weird ticking noise, and I was wondering what it was. And I remembered. If I remember correctly. Yeah, it's got a working clock mechanism on it, and I forgot, and it's just started moving again.
Well, going off topic, funny story about clock mechanisms. Right, now, I don't know how many people are aware that by far the easiest way to clean up brass is to leave it sat in white vinegar.
No, I wasn't aware of it. Okay.
Well, you can do it with Coca-Cola as well. Same effect. You basically it's leaving it sat in mild acid overnight. If you're ever going to do that with old clock mechanisms, detension the springs first.
Okay.
Because although white vinegar will take a thin layer off brass, it will actually eat through rusty steel quite quickly. So what happened was, I left these. Now this isn't where I live now. This is in a flat I used to rent.
I see where this is going to go.
This clock mechanism sat in a old ice cream tub full of white vinegar. Now I'd just picked this clock mechanism up from the car boot, so it still had everything on it, and it didn't run, so I just thought, right, chuck it, before I dismantle it, chuck it in there, then I don't get my hands all dirty off the crap that was all over it. Chuck it in this thing of white vinegar, leave it overnight. About 3 o'clock in the morning, one of the springs goes and literally sprays a clear line of like brown, rusty coloured vinegar all the way around the room in just a complete circle.
Nice.
We learn these things the hard way.
Yeah.
Well, I must admit, I remember I was taking apart one of those mechanisms once, and I actually had the spring snap on me whilst I was unscrewing it, and it flipped around and then jabbed into my hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
I've now got. I went to the last. I did so many of them, and then got to a technique of those. You know the spring holders, the like circular ones.
Oh yeah.
Screwdriver inside them and flick the spring out straight into the wheelie bin, so it'd like expand inside the bin. No, I didn't have to deal with it because that was it. I just put it straight into the green bin. It's steel. It can go for steel recycling. No problems.
That's one way to deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's. So anyway, should we?
Try and get back on topic. Yes.
Yeah. Well, we're nearly coming up to an hour. So, have we got anything else we want to discuss?
Has anybody checked? Have we got any questions? Any comments from anybody?
I'll have a quick look.
That's a good point.
I think it's a no.
Yeah, really should have put it. I think we all forgot to put the event up this time, so it doesn't matter because people still see the video. So.
Yes. Okay. Right. So
it'll be up there. We are live. People have been watching. Yeah, we've got 2 people watching apparently.
Yeah, I think one of them was you, one of them was me.
Well, no, there was 3 people on there earlier. So.
Oh. Okay. Cool.
But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching, we will get better at this. Someday we will get better at this.
Do we want to have a chat about possible topics for future videos?
I think that we should put that up as a question on the actual page.
Well, I put it as a question on this event. Well, let's say on this event, on the ad for this, and didn't get any response.
Well, we can go. I'm thinking.
Well, yeah, actually, that's a good point because we've kind of expended everything we wanted to talk about so far, haven't we? So where do we want to go from here?
Sewerage.
Sewerage?
Well, you could do something about infrastructure. Just general, cover the whole lot. Sewage, water supply, electricity / whatever other gas, whatever other power source you might have.
Right. I don't have anything I can give as an example. Actually, no, I do. I've got something I can show off. But yeah, actually, thinking about it, one thing I'd like to cover one day is the military side of things. So
yeah, weaponry.
like defence
Yeah.
of a steampunk city.
Yeah, I'd also like one day to talk when like this lockdown is all over and done with. Have the MEF involved and talk about actually making it to Mars with steampunk technology.
Yeah, that'd be a good one to do.
Yeah, so
I guess
MEF.
there's no reason we couldn't get the MEF involved through this sort of thing.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
I think we should get a few more viewers first.
Well, yeah, well, we just got to get better at this. That's it. You know, we're getting there.
The one we could talk about is what kind of business as an industry you might get in a steampunk city.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So the kind of thing that you wouldn't have actually had in the Victorian era, but you could put in to a steampunk setting.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, yeah, I actually have a few ideas for that already. So
maybe do that as the next topic then.
yeah, that's a good idea because there's a lot of different things we can cover about that.
Yeah.
Should we? Are we aiming to do this for 2 weeks' time?
Yeah. Let's do it in 2 weeks' time.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen who are watching, 2 weeks' time we'll be having another talk. We will put an event up beforehand, and we will share it about so people can actually see this. And yeah, so we'll share it about to a few different groups. Obviously, this is showing in the LSS. If anyone's watching, hi. You know, we just.
Do we think this is the best time to do it? Because I think most of these things generally go on in the evening.
Well, tell you
we
what,
can put it on a bit later.
let's have a discussion offline about that.
Because I'm just thinking today whether we've not got many viewers because you know it's a nice day. Everybody's sat outside having a barbecue.
That is true.
Yeah. Well,
we can discuss that. We can also put something up on the page and see if anyone's actually interested in having it at a later date.
Yeah, just maybe do one of those sort of survey things about what times people would consider would be available
All right.
to watch something.
Okay. So should we call it a time then?
Yeah, I think so.
Excellent. Well, if anyone is still watching, thank you very much for watching. You know, I'm Rodney. This is Andy and this is Richard, and this is the Fantastical City of Steamtopia. See you all next time.
Take care.
See ya.